You must not know about me. You must not know about me. Okay, so I gotta get this shit right. Right-wing federal appeals judges make horrific and dangerous. And now, when you're doing this kind of shit, you gotta be, because they have clickbait like a motherfucker, even on these mainstream things. So, you know, just like my cup of joke, we're gonna see what Morning Joe, what they talking about. Just in case, excuse me, y'all, and have a stuffed up nose. I don't know why, but I do. I've had a stuffed up nose in years. And I forgot to put my filter on high for when I sleep because it can be very, very dry in here. This place is very dusty. So we're gonna take a look at let's take a look at our Morning Joe show.
For 65 years, and we own the finance company.
This is what I do when I open up my eyes. So let's have a look. Are we up? Can you all hear?
Earthquake in Syria and Turkey has passed 5,000 and continues to climb.
So,
a 7.8 magnitude quake hit the region early yesterday, along with multiple aftershocks, including a 7.5 magnitude one that struck just hours later. Tens of thousands have been injured, and search and rescue efforts are underway to find people who may still be trapped under the rubble. More than 6,000 buildings collapsed in Turkey, according to a state-run news agency. The earthquake also brought new devastation to war-ravaged Syria, a region already plagued by a 12-year civil war and humanitarian crisis. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley has more on one of the deadliest disasters in years.
In Turkey, buildings are still falling as the heartbreaking death toll sadly keeps rising. The fear now, more aftershocks. This one captured on live television. The reporter starts to run. You can hear a building crashing down behind him. Later, finding a family that somehow made it out alive. That quake hitting 12 hours after the first earthquake, a magnitude of 7.8, captured on security cameras, bringing down buildings in an instant. Here, rescuers are combing through rubble when another building collapses.
This is earthquake happening in Turkey.
Rescuers racing to find survivors still trapped. My grandson is 18 months old. Please help my family, she begged, saying her missing relatives had been on the 12th floor. The quake hit.
I know you're new here. Welcome in, Joshua.
Volunteer rescue workers from the White Helmets were
Thank
used
you,
to
honey.
rescuing civilians from bombings.
This
Many of
is
these
kind of
victims,
my
refugees with
routine
lost their
before
homes
I
to war.
actually go to bed.
Like
But I got some
18-month-old
things to
Rebecca.
do
Rescuers saved
today,
her
so
life.
I can't go to bed. I sleep during the day, but while you all are up, if I have nothing to do, I'm sleeping. So if you don't see me during the day and only at night, yeah, that's because I've been screwed up like that all my life. But it's okay. I'm still able to be there for you, and thank you for subscribing, and you'll get a chance to know me. This is what I do. It absolutely may not mean anything to anybody, but this is what I'm interested in. I do this kind of shit. I want to know what the hell they're doing there. In the Congress, these politicians, they be on
bullshit. The UN says its refugee agency is not fully operational because of damage to its offices and warehouses.
So I always want to know.
Several nations, including the U.S., are sending rescue personnel and supplies to the region. President Biden called Turkey's president yesterday to express his condolences and coordinate aid. Teams from Virginia's Task Force 1 and Los Angeles County Fire Department will be deployed, as well as U.S.
Okay, Joshua, that was a mistake. I was
We will get
trying to do
from the
something
devastated
else,
region ahead
and
in
I
our
typed
next
you
hour
out.
of morning show. Really?
Yeah, we
Oh, that's a long time.
Over 5,000.
Hey, cousin, I mistakenly timed down the Joshua.
To help. We'll come back to the story
But
in
you know,
just a
it's
moment.
5
Back
minutes.
here at home, President
Yeah, I
Biden
was
says
trying to time
Chinese
my
spy balloon hits
get a good
will not
angle,
damage
and
diplomatic relations between
these things
Washington
are
and
so
Beijing.
sensitive.
Speaking to reporters outside the White House yesterday,
But I
the
love you,
president commented
Gabriel.
on China's
Joshua
decision to
Gabriel.
fly a surveillance balloon
That
over
was
the
a
United
mistake.
States
I
and his
do that from
administration's
time to
decision
time. I'm
to
an
shoot it down.
idiot. Good morning, cousin. Good morning.
We made it clear to China what we're going to do.
How are you?
Our position. We're not going to back off.
You know what I'm doing. I just I wake up with my head stuck up, like nose stuck up. That hasn't happened to me in many years.
A little laugh from the president there. We're learning more about the balloon's design now. The
Joshua, come on back in,
says it was
baby.
200
That was a
feet tall.
mistake.
For frame of reference, that's about 4 times the size of the Snoopy balloon at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. As of yesterday, the balloon's debris field was about 1,500 meters by 1,500 meters,
I was
or
trying to put this
15
thing
football
down.
fields by 15
I don't know what.
football fields. It's huge.
I get
Meanwhile,
to
defense
touch it,
officials
things, shit
acknowledge
happens.
they have failed to detect suspected Chinese surveillance balloons in the past. This is not the first time, and only learned about them later from intelligence agencies. The commander of Northern Command and North American Aerospace Defense Command drew contrasts between the previous lapses and the suspected spy balloon that was shot down on Saturday. But he did describe a surveillance gap and said the U.S. is trying to figure out why the earlier flights went undetected. General Glenn.
Okay, cousin, remember what we was talking about the balloon flying overboard? And Republicans, they was trying to come up with anything to do to Biden. But it never, they sound so stupid. It makes me sick. They just stupid. And I'm like, come on. And then you come to find out that there was 3 of these balloons when the past administration means Humpty Dumpty dumbass Trump. So he did absolutely nothing. Did nobody know about it? And then I swear I'm a Republican hater because what we have in the Congress today are some fucking idiots, serious, dangerous idiots, and they don't have a fucking clue. For these people to have gone to all these prestigious schools and shit, I'm like, what did they learn? Did they pay their way through or fuck their way through to these so-called degrees? Because they are the worst of the worst. Oh my God, it just behooves me like this, that the shit that they say out of their fucking mouth.
That we did not detect those threats, and that's a domain awareness gap that we have to figure out. A domain awareness gap, Joe. That's a good euphemism.
I'm sorry, Joshua. That was a
but the fact of the matter was, this was huge. The president decided in the middle of last week that he wanted to shoot it down. The Department of Defense said, we agree we can shoot it down, but let's wait till it gets out over water. And now we're getting an idea of how big this was. Balloon seems like an understatement at this point to describe
this thing. Oh, no,
you're
not fucking calling me this goddamn early in the morning. Go fuck yourself. No.
I had that in high school during math exams.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
Lisa,
I can't complete this.
So what I introduced is
awareness gap as pertains to trig. Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna keep
Joe Biden laughed when I asked him
you're not gonna make me
answer. His answer was because the Chinese did. I always said this during all the information about the Russians using misinformation, disinformation, but also spying on us one way or the other. And I sort of smiled and laughed because I said, well, we do that to Russia too, and we do that to China too. I mean, part of him laughing, he couldn't say it. And I'm sorry, I might offend a lot of people when I say it, but it's like, grow up. This is what superpowers have done since they've become superpowers. Satellites are flying over us right now. They're flying over China right now.
Right.
I thought Mark Polymeropoulos said it best yesterday when he said, yes, okay, so yes, this balloon is one of like 30 or 40 ways that the Chinese spy on us. It's not even in the top 20 of what our intel agencies should be concerned about. Of course, because it is floating overhead in the United States, it's going to draw attention. But I think there is actually, I think there's a legitimate concern here. This has happened, what, 3-4 times during the Trump administration. It probably happened before that. They do need to figure out how to detect these things earlier. I know we never heard about it during the Trump administration because they didn't talk about it, or maybe they didn't pick it up until it left the country. But yeah, it is a serious problem.
With my head stuffed up, but I didn't have my purifier filter on.
Jonathan Lemire. I called around yesterday to quite a few diplomats, and everyone said the same thing about Anthony Blinken canceling his trip to China. We understand why he did it, for domestic political reasons, but at the same time, that didn't make the world a safer place. China and the United States need to get together. They need to talk. And there was actually some pressure to reset that meeting as soon as possible because, again, we're looking at Russia threatening to use nuclear weapons. China is a counterbalance to that. You talk about global economic problems, global economic forces. Us being able to coordinate with China in whatever ways we can economically, also good for the world's economy. You could talk, of course, also about climate change. You could talk about one of 100 issues. The two world superpowers need to be talking. And so some people may have been caught off guard by what Joe Biden said yesterday. I certainly wasn't. And every diplomat I talked to yesterday said, these two countries need to get together and talk. The balloon's gone. Now start talking again, because the world's a much more dangerous place when the United States and China are not together talking.
Yeah, there's no question. China spies on the U.S. The U.S. spies on China. Frankly, they may be spying on us on the TikTok app that I know you have on your phone, Joe. That is perhaps a
by the way, on every phone, on all 12 phones I have, because my TikTok accounts, I live by.
Joe, you got a TikTok account. Maybe the balloons floating around, affecting our sinuses. Yeah, but they shot that one down. I think it was because I actually went out yesterday and it was just such a beautiful day, and I probably created some allergies or something, brought them back home. But I was doing fine.
It's bad.
Until they took a nap, I wake up like, oh my God, I couldn't breathe.
And therefore became this diplomatic snafu. To your point about the Secretary of State's visit, in fact, I was on a call yesterday with John Kirby, the National Security Council spokesman, who made clear this trip is not canceled. It was postponed. It will happen again, and he suggested, though no date has been set, that they hope to have it sooner than later because of that long list of issues that you yourself just a minute ago went through, that these two superpowers need to talk about, particularly in the light of new reporting about how Chinese defense industries are still supporting, perhaps subtly, Russia's war effort. And then another final thought on timing, why this needs to happen soon. Let's remember, of course, the furor that erupted when Speaker Pelosi went to Taiwan last year, and diplomatic relations between China and the U.S., the two countries basically stopped talking to each other for a few months until Presidents Biden and Xi met in Bali. Well, new Speaker McCarthy has made clear he plans to go to Taiwan and go to Taiwan soon. There's a sense here they want to try to warm relations even further before that happens.
McCarthy, that fucking idiot.
Tonight, President Biden will give the State of the Union address. Sources inside the White House say parts of that speech that address China are being edited after the shooting down of that Chinese surveillance balloon. Overall, the White House says the president wants to remind America.
Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Liberty Mutual. They customize your car insurance so you only...
Yeah, I'm just kind of clearing up. I had to turn on my air purifier because it was down low, and I didn't have it on an allergy thing. So I wake up, and this hasn't happened to me in many years, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell going on? I cannot breathe. Like, it was terrible. And then, even though I was not stuffed with, I wasn't stuffed, like with the sinus thing. So, I don't know what happened. Probably because I went out or something like that in the comment. Because this place where I am is very dusty. And I'm waiting on them to bring me some more blinds. Hey, Chipo, good morning, honey. Good morning. How you doing? How you doing? What's up? Y'all know I be hating on the Republicans. This is what I do, y'all, early in the morning. Because they're so fucking insignificantly stupid. Like, I don't know where they get their degrees from. They must buy them all.
Been made since he took office, especially
So
on the
we're gonna have
economy.
a
The
address
president is
today.
expected to call on Congress to pass legislation on his tax plan for billionaires, as well as a universal cap for insulin prices and police reform. Let's bring in the CEO of the Messina Group, Jim Messina. He served as White House Deputy Chief of Staff to President Obama and ran his 2012 re-election campaign. Also with us, founder of the conservative website The Bulwark, Charlie Sykes. And Jim, first question in terms of the president and messaging tonight, in terms of his accomplishments, what does he need to do to really take ownership of the past 2 years?
He needs to explain what he's done. 6 in 10 Americans don't know. That's not so.
Okay, y'all. I always, every time I see him, for some reason, I always have to comment on his lips. Look at his lips. I think those are the most adorable fucking lips. Like, period. Like, he don't even have to put no gloss on. They just red like that. Like, I'm like, oh my God. It's the most amazing lips, nicely colored, and a nice little, what do you call that color? Brimrose? I don't know. Okay, I always, the first thing, every time I see him, it's like, look at those luscious lips. Okay.
Right, so that's exactly what we went through on the Obama re-elect. He's got to start to set the stage. The bully pulpit of the president doesn't really exist anymore. He just has a couple of very big opportunities. This is the biggest one he's going to have. This is one time where the voters actually look in and say, okay, what's my president doing? What is he going to do to make my life better? Tonight's an absolute crucial beginning of that conversation with the American voter.
So, Joe,
and
yes,
and
also voters will hear this, huge response from Republicans all over the internet. Many of them have podcasts of their own in leadership in the Senate. So it is hard to get a solid message across.
Sometimes she be looking like she high as a motherfucker. Like, it's so early in the morning. That's Mika.
To quote the line from the Michael Wolff book that I.
This is my
line. Television is the new television.
My Joe man.
The bully pulpit is the new pulpit, which is to say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And Charlie Sykes, I remember being so frustrated at Bill Clinton. He'd sit there and he'd drone on for like an hour and a half. Halfway through his State of the Union speech, I'd be like, man, I'm going to go lie down in the cloakroom. Wake me up here then so I can get up and applaud. But he'd just go.
Clinton did talk a whole lot.
You know what? He's put America to sleep. No, he didn't. Like his State of the Union addresses, I learned a valuable lesson. Those things are powerful, and you just drive home accomplishment after accomplishment. What should, Wisconsin politics so well, what should Joe Biden talk about tonight to get to Wisconsin voters, to show Wisconsin voters that their vote for him in 2020 made sense, and a vote for him in 2024 would be a good bet as well?
Well, what he's got to do is he has to talk about his substantive record, and I think that's what's going to be interesting tonight, is to watch the contrast between
we're going to look at the State of the Union tonight, baby.
The performative House majority and how they respond to him.
And we're not going to
sleep. A lot of pressure from their base.
Joe, he has our lips like I do.
Last time. It'll be interesting to see how Kevin McCarthy responds. What he's got to do is he actually has to start using the bully pulpit, and And, I have to admit, Joe, that having, spent about 40 years watching these State of the Unions, I am a little bit jaded because they're surrounded by a lot of hype and a lot of, and a lot of pomp and circumstance. I'm trying to remember one that actually moved the needle. But Joe Biden has to begin to break through to the American people, which he has not done so far. And he has not really used the bully pulpit in all the ways that other presidents have done. He hasn't had a lot of Oval Office addresses. There have not been a lot of these set pieces. So he's got to make the most of this moment. But I think that it would be somewhat naive to think that this is going to be a transformative moment. This is going to be a long slog where this...
Whether you feel fine or under the weather.
He's just going to be rambling on. This motherfucker, what do you mean? But at least he will kind of get the shit out of all his accomplishments in just 2 years, what he has been managed to do, especially doing it on a bipartisanship kind of thing with the crazy fucking Republicans. These motherfucking MAGA maniacs are fucking like, oh my God, Florida, anybody live in Florida, oh my God, I feel for you. You might as well leave because Ron DeSantis, he is the worst of the worst. He will be put on my worst fucking human, the worst fucking human in the world list. I mean, he's right up there. I think maybe besides Frumpty Dumpty, dumbass, fat, nasty ass Trump, he would be, he's well, he's kind of getting over. Yeah, he's got to rise over dumbass Trump. I mean, these are the dumbest motherfuckers, but they come from these prestigious schools, has these degrees. I'm like, you don't learn nothing. So the only thing that you can take from all of their abuse is that they're just racist, fascist, authoritarian wannabes. And so they inflict their ideology on the people. And so I hope people take your ass and go and vote these idiots out, because they're not really serving you. They are self-serving megalomaniacs. They're narcissistic fucking manipulators. They give you fucking money. Oh, vote, we're gonna do this. And then so as you get them in, they tell you, oh, I'm in now, go fuck yourself. Figure it out on your own. Figure it out. So, they really don't care. So do not be mesmerized. So do not think that, one thing, and I'm going to say that one thing that I hate about, okay, let's see what he said.
Story, and it has to tell it over and over and over and over again in the face of what's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors coming up from the opposition. And again, I don't expect the speech to be particularly riveting, but I am going to be watching the response from the Republicans, who, of course, again, managed to make quite a spectacle of themselves a year ago.
And Donald Trump has promised a last at the end of this too. We'll watch for that. Jonathan Lemire,
of course,
we know that talking to the White House these last several months in particular, but really the last couple of years, some of the frustration they feel about not having their accomplishments acknowledged or recognized. You look at that poll from the Washington Post, 62% of Americans feel that President Biden has accomplished very little, not very much, whatever the term was. The wrong track number in the Monmouth poll yesterday was at 73%. They say we came in during a pandemic. We passed $1.9 trillion in that rescue package to save businesses, to help families. Healthcare has expanded, more people insured than were before. Unemployment at 3.4%. You know the litany. So how does the president break through that, number one? And number two, is this in some ways a unofficial launch of his re-election campaign?
Now, I'm going to say this. This is what the fuck I hate about mainstream media. They come out with these fucking polls, and it says this, says that. But in actuality, the polls that you take be the wrong motherfuckers that you're doing the polls with. There are real people on the fucking ground that's really still suffering. But if Biden put out there his accomplishments, we may not feel this shit until maybe until, he just been in 2 years. Get an old fucker a chance. I mean, if you gave Donald Trump 4 fucking years of chaos and bullshit, people, get your fucking mind together because we now have a grown up with the is sitting at the pulpit, the bully pulpit. Let him do his job. Let him try and do what he can, because he got to deal with the dumbest fucking megalomaniacs of Republicans. So he wants to do things that's bipartisan. But when you're dealing with the crazy ass conspiracy theorists, all these motherfuckers are seriously fucking retarded. You gotta kind of skip your way and make them think that they actually thought of it themselves. So, you gotta use it's fucking ridiculous. Here's the lips. I love those lips. I love those lips. Let's do those
popular
lips.
child
Look at
tax
his
credits and
lips.
these other things and drive straight at it. This is what I will do to make your life better. He can and
Hey, y'all,
must
look
do
at his
both. He can
lips.
walk and shoot
I
down.
mean, like,
And tomorrow he's
perfectly.
going to the most
Is
important
that
state in America, the
Brimrose?
presidential
No, that's
campaign,
not Brimrose.
Wisconsin,
It's a little
where we've
red.
seen a manufacturing boom and really go straight at it and say, if you like what you've seen so far, wait till we continue this progress for the next 2 years. He has an amazing record to sell. He's got an ability to do it. Now that he's have to go out to the earlier point and do it over and over and over again.
Well, and let's underline that fact too, that Americans, if they don't think the guy's accomplished much, they just aren't paying attention, and they aren't paying attention obviously because of all the distractions that are going on. But you look at the fact that unemployment's at a 50-year low, childhood poverty's at a 50-year low. There's been a massive bipartisan infrastructure bill that's passed. There's been bipartisan.
Why not Willie Wilson?
There are so many fucking commercials. I just be wanting to scream, but I will not, and I refuse to pay.
Gun safety legislation that's passed. One thing after another over the past couple of years, we've talked about it a good bit, Jim. So my question is, if you're writing the president's speech, are you more concerned in repeating those things? I know you say you can do both, but what's your emphasis? Repeating those two things or actually daring to go in to the Republican House and just marking the contrast by the fact that, a lot of people that are running the House of Representatives now were insurrectionists, weirdos, and freaks.
They are.
I'd look straight at what he's done. I'd stay very focused on the economic stuff. He was the first president to win a presidential campaign and lose the economic argument in 2020. The Democrats right now try to Republican in the economic
maybe
argument.
Maybe mine's not even close because I smoke cigarettes.
And Democrats have to seize this moment. This is his bully pulpit moment. He needs to tell the American people what he did and what he's going to do to make their life better. He can go at the insurrectionists a little bit later.
Yeah. Although I do think the midterms are won a lot because people don't like insurrection.
No, all you gotta do is put a little gloves on
and
them.
he stuck to that. When others were thinking, what about this? What about that? We'll talk about this more. In fact, still ahead on Morning Joe, we'll be joined by White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
There's a group of small government conservatives who created an organization a very long time ago called Club for Growth. I knew a lot of people that were on the ground floor of that organization, and they believed in balanced budgets. They believed in less government. They believed in the sort of things that small government conservatives believe in. Sadly, during the age of Trump, it completely got twisted around. Beyond recognition, just like the conservative movement, just like the Republican Party. And they became hacks, nothing more than hacks for Donald Trump. Shameless. I mean, my God, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I know that two of my close friends that were there on the ground floor who passed away would have been so disappointed to see how they cheapened themselves so badly for a guy that was the biggest spending president in the history of the United States.
Especially for the rich,
I say this because we heard about the Koch network yesterday. And by the way, the Koch brothers and Charles Koch never made any secret of the fact they had no use for Donald Trump. Club for Growth, completely different. But now, Club for Growth, they're inviting a lot of potential presidential candidates to its annual donor retreat next month in Florida. One notable exception, Donald J. Trump.
Wow.
And the group's president, a guy I know, a guy I served in Congress with, came in together with him in '94, David McIntosh, said the Republican Party's chances of retaking the White House in 2024 would be diminished if Donald Trump were the nominee. That is a big change. The New York Times report said, according to McIntosh, the party should be open to another candidate and suggested that Republicans had already lost too many elections with Mr. Trump as a face of the party. My God. My God.
Interesting.
They're starting to look up and notice that they lost in 2017 because of Trump, 2018 because of Trump, 2019 because of Trump. They lost in 2020 because of Trump. They lost in 2021 because of Trump. They lost in 2022 because of Trump. And if Trump's their nominee, they'll lose in 2024.
Please don't let him rail up all the
lawsuits. To be toxic among general election voters. Adding the Republicans had lost elections. All right, there you go. 18, 20, 22 on the former president's watch. The Republicans who were invited to the retreat include Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo, Tim Scott, and Glenn Youngkin. The Club for Growth spent nearly $150 million over the past two election cycles, and the spokesman for Trump declined to comment to the Times and instead pointed to 3 social media posts 2 weeks ago in which the former president repeatedly attacked the club. Charlie Sykes, you know,
get me wound up.
You are wound up? How could that happen?
Two of my first supporters, guys that supported me in 1994 when I had no chance of winning. No chance at all. I was a 30-year-old guy that nobody believed in. But these two guys said, you know what, Scarborough, you're a small government conservative, and we know you go up there and fight, and we don't care. We don't care. We'll waste our money. Take it. And then they did the same thing with Club for Growth because they believe they didn't care about Republicans. They didn't care about Democrats. They cared about fiscal responsibility. And to see what happened with Club for Growth over the past 3, 4, 5 years, I'm just
y'all call me in and everything, man. Y'all hit the like button for me, please. And don't cost anything.
But this is a big change. The fact that now they're turning on the guy that they've been shamelessly defending. Actually, that's even more of a tipping point for me than Charles Koch doing it because, as I said, poor Charles never made any secret of the fact he didn't like Donald Trump.
Just what they
so I'm having flashbacks now, Joe, because, and by the way, your language to describe what happened with the club is not an overstatement at all. I mean, the hackery, it burned. I mean, I remember back in 2016.
Basically, just only trying to move my device, and I always fuck up. That's why I like touching shit, because I am not tech savvy. I shit happens, but it was not intentional. I would love for you to give me forgiveness. Yeah. So I just to let you all know who are in here. Gabriel, Joshua Gabriel, and he come in, and I love him. He's new here, and so this is very embarrassing when someone is new to your thing and you make a mistake and time them out. So I just want you to know it was not intentional. I am a idiot. I am not tech savvy, and I get to touching things, and I kind of fuck up. And I'm not going to say a little bit of the time. I'm going to say mostly all the time. Here we go. Let's see what he has to say.
Not the Koch network and the Club for Growth are really going to change the dynamics, but maybe they provide a permission structure for other donors, other conservatives to begin backing away from Trump. But I did a podcast the other day with Rick Wilson, and we were both remembering how donors in 2016 were all lined up against Trump. You know, we would have these conversations, you know, we got to stop him. What are we going to do? One by one, each and every one of them got on board when they saw which way the wind was blowing. So right now, hockey a good game. The question is, if their whole critique is he can't win, what happens if he starts winning? What happens if the polls start turning? What happens to their critique? And each of these groups, each of these guys, because they have a long track record of hackery, I think are likely to flip-flop and get back on board. Yeah.
But here's the problem for them, Willie. I mean, we can say it right now. If Trump runs, Trump's probably going to win primary contests in the Republican Party. Him winning the Republican Party, that's not the issue. Like, Democrats hope. Democrats pray. Democrats are hoping beyond hope that Donald Trump is nominated because he's a loser in general elections. He'll never win the suburbs of Atlanta again. He'll never win the suburbs of Philly again. He'll never win the swing voters that he needs to win. So the question is whether they're stupid enough, whether these donors are stupid enough and short-sighted enough to race to Donald Trump the second he starts winning Republican primary contests, because that's not the issue. This guy can win Republican primary contests. He'll just lose them another 4 years in the White House.
And that's exactly the point David McIntosh, who runs the Club for Growth, made yesterday in that New York Times piece, which is that it's not necessarily a principled objection to Donald Trump. They just said, look at the last 3 elections. He's lost them all. He dragged us down. The Club for Growth last fall in the midterm elections ran against Donald Trump in a lot of races and won some of them and lost some of them. So they've now decided, as you say, one of those deathbed conversions that you say you'll take it whenever you can get it. But here they are coming back off, for now anyway, the Trump train. And I guess, Jim Messina, to Charlie's point, the money flows where the power is. And if Donald Trump emerges again as the leader of the party, if he starts winning again, and some of these people who jumped into the race don't really look like someone who can beat Donald Trump in a primary, does the Club for Growth, does the Koch network, do those evangelical groups who started to walk away from him, do they really stay away from Donald Trump, or they say, well, I guess he's the guy, we better back him?
No, Willie, that's exactly right. They're going to go right back and support him. This is about power. And this is them saying we have to be with a guy who is the nominee. And so this deathbed conversion is wonderful. We're all excited about it. It doesn't matter because they'll be right there if he's the Republican nominee for president. And let me just be clear, and I completely agree with the previous speaker, Donald Trump will lose to Joe Biden. He will absolutely lose. Joe Biden will mop the floor with him in a general election. And you have nothing to look at in the Pennsylvania Senate race, where the most predictive factor of how voters were going to vote in the Pennsylvania Senate race was their view of Donald Trump. Not the sitting president, Joe Biden, not Fetterman, not Dr. Oz. It was their view of Donald Trump. And that is just proof of how Donald Trump is toxifying the Republican Party and will continue.
Yeah, and it took years, and at the point to Willie's made about principal objections, that's not what this is about. Right. Republicans are not walking away from Donald Trump because of January 6th, because of his behavior on COVID, because he had dinner with a white supremacist, because of any of that, because of Helsinki. We can go down the list. It is because he lost. And for the first time, it's sticking to him. He is being blamed for the defeats in November, which should have been a very good Republican cycle and turned out not to be. But
it was,
of course,
stunning.
Yeah, stunningly so. But of course, you can't beat something with nothing. So there's going to have to be another Republican who does step to the forefront, who is able to beat Trump. Most eyes on Governor DeSantis, but he's an unproven national commodity. We'll have to see about that in the months ahead. And we know that Republicans are going to start jumping in. Nikki Haley next week, she'll be the first. It'll go from there. The bigger the field, Joe, also the sense that's probably better for Trump as well. But it is certainly telling right now that some of these money groups, these interest groups, powerful voices in the Republican Party want nothing to do with them.
Right, and the word, I think the operative word that I heard was permission structure. Jim Messina, I mean, we know how the donor class is in both parties, okay? I mean, I remember early on when Barack Obama was a young senator, I said, this guy's never going to beat Hillary Clinton. There's no way he's going to beat Hillary Clinton. This was in 2007. The Clinton machine is going to just be and then I saw his first financial report. I was like, whoa. Okay, now that's going to provide
Confused by the Medicare ABCs? If you have that little red, white, and blue Medicare card, then you have Parts A and B. But have you considered Part C? Medicare Part C is also known as a Medicare Advantage plan, and it's one of the best ways to help protect yourself from unlimited out-of-pocket Medicare costs. If you only have Medicare Parts A and B, you may be paying too much in out-of-pocket costs and missing out on a plan with valuable benefits. All-in-one Medicare Advantage plans may be available with all the benefits of original Medicare, plus most provide additional benefits like dental, vision, hearing, or prescription coverage. Depending on where you live, a plan may be available with a Part B premium reduction that puts money back into your Social Security check every month. Call to find out. The Medicare Benefit Helpline is accepting calls right now to see what plans with additional benefits are available to you. You don't get a Medicare Advantage plan with extra benefits automatically. You need to take action. Call for your free Medicare benefits review. Many plans offer $0 monthly premiums, $0 copays for common services, or $0 deductibles. If you only have Medicare Parts A and B, you may be paying too much in out-of-pocket costs and missing out on valuable benefits. Call to see if you're eligible for an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan. Certain plans may include benefits for qualifying members, like an allowance to help pay for things like rent, mortgage, internet, healthy groceries, or utilities. Depending on where you live, a plan may be available with a Part B premium reduction that puts money.
And I was, I'm getting hungry.
Take a chance on this young guy too. And of course they did. In this case, though, it's a little more complicated, isn't it? Because people start writing checks. They want their person to immediately start winning. I don't know who the adult in the room is who can say, listen, Trump's going to win some primaries if he runs. But we can't panic and run to high ground, the second that happens, or else this guy's going to win the nomination again and lose for us again in the general election.
Joe, you're exactly right. The grassroots of both parties gets to decide it. And, they fuel Barack Obama on the left. The grassroots fuel Donald Trump. His fundraising machine is still amazing at the small dollar level. That has not abated at all. There needs to be leadership in the Republican Party to pull the party together and say, to Jonathan's point, we can't have 10 candidates. We can't have 8 candidates. We got to decide who the 1 or 2 people are that can actually win this primary and get rid of Donald Trump. And you don't see that happening at all. The newly elected chair of the Republican Party is clueless and has no ability to do that. And so instead, everyone's going to jump in the pool, and Donald Trump's going to be happy about it because he wants more candidates, not less.
He loves chaos.
He loves chaos, and that's how he becomes a Republican nominee if there's a chaos scenario like that.
Jim Messina and Charlie Sykes, thank you both very much for coming on this morning. We'll be watching the State of the Union tonight with these thoughts in mind. And coming up, while the president...
Governor, Congressman, all these things. It's good to see you again. I'm just curious. Tell me, if you were delivering the State of the Union tonight, what would you be saying about the United States right now? What is our State of the Union?
Well, one, it's great to see you, Joe, and this is an incredible opportunity. I mean, if you're president, timing is everything, and, there's a lot of interest with the Chinese spy balloon that crossed the United States. He's got an opportunity to provide some new information, some new insights. He hasn't spoken to this dramatically or directly yet. And so this is very, very important opportunity to address the U.S.-China relations, and it will be newsy. It will be of great interest and very important to the future of America. So I think everybody's going to be sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for a discussion of that relationship, most importantly.
Governor, I know some people have talked about you possibly running for president of the United States, and I want you just for a minute, if we can, and you've been very good about not following everybody into the sort of the weeds on partisanship. I get frustrated a lot of times on this show, and I did while Donald Trump was president. I did when Barack Obama was president before that, and I am now. Everybody's so negative about America. Everybody, when one party's out of power, they're talking about how weak the military is, or how weak this is, or how weak that is. And I'm just wondering, don't we need to stop more and say, Our military is incredible. The men and women in the intelligence services, they aren't perfect, but you know what? They keep us safe. Our economy is resilient, whether there's a Democrat in the White House or a Republican in the White House or a Democrat. This country is still what Ronald Reagan said, a city shining brightly on the hill for all the world to see, even in our worst times.
Well, America needs to be encouraged with a big spirit of optimism about our country.
Hi, let's talk about rent. Well, you're going to love lighting your money on fire every month. Visit 1-800-BUY-RENT.com right now and we'll throw in 3 mysterious carpet stains absolutely free.
Breakthroughs in science drive us forward. But what does it take to cross the line? To shift paradigms, we need more than a lone hero, more than a trailblazer, heading into uncharted territory.
Check Olivia's send.
Okay, y'all. In your what's the commercial? I know. Okay, y'all. I am going to be doing this for a while. If you do not hear from me, it's because I totally ate. I was gonna do Papa Joe live, but you know, I'm kind of tired, and you know, I'm still like a little bit hungry because I did not get a chance to finish my meal yesterday, so I will be doing that. I will let you see it, and oh my god, it was so damn good. And then I'm gonna sleep because I'm getting very, very sleepy right now. I am getting very sleepy, and of course I know why, but you may not, and I don't care to explain it to you again. Who I am, how I get down, and it's okay. So we're going to, but before I go to sleep, I want you to see something that's very hilarious. With the people, with the shit that's going on in your Congress, especially it could be very much in your area. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, if I was in some of these areas, I would totally, fucking totally, go ham.
That's to me what a president should do, is to bring out the best of America and give America hope. That's what Ronald Reagan did. He saw the best days ahead, and that is where America is. And you think about America's leadership, and this is something worth fighting for in the Republican Party. America needs to continue to lead. We cannot step back, because then who does lead the world? You have others that want to step up, but they're not the right ones to lead a free world. And so America has its place. We need to step up. We've got the greatest military in the world. We've got the greatest rule of law in the world. And that's what distinguishes our democracy. So let's focus on some of those things and focus on solutions. You know, we look at the borders challenging. I'm going to be having a border solutions summit down in Tucson coming up. And the reason for it is, let's look at solutions and how you can bring people together, recognizing the vastness of that problem and what we can do about it in a positive way. That, to me, is what America's about.
Governor, good morning. It's good to see you again. You're talking about issues. You're talking about solutions to problems. And it seems, for a large part, at least former President Trump and many other Republicans are playing small ball, talking about the past, talking about an election in 2020, former president tweeting or whatever, Truth Socialing yesterday about the Pulitzer Prize awards given to the Washington Post many years ago, things like that. And you've said that he should be disqualified for being the nominee because of his actions around January 6th. So with all that in mind, and with the stories we've been talking about this morning, the Club for Growth wanting to move on, the Koch network wanting to move on from Donald Trump, some evangelical groups now saying they want to do the same. What is the future in your eyes of the Republican Party? What should it look like if it is a post-Donald Trump party, which, by the way, it's not yet, that's for sure?
Well, it's important to remember that the American people still trust the Republican Party when it comes to handling the economy, when it comes to handling national security issues, the big issues that they face. They still trust Republican philosophy and ideas and solutions. But we have got sidetracked, and we need to make a course correction. And that sidetracked is because of Donald Trump and his revenge tour, or wanting to get even out there with his latest person that offended him. And so we do need to talk about and get back to our ideas and solutions. To me, that's the most important thing in the next 3 months, is the message, a conservative message that is solution oriented and optimistic about the future of the country. And wherever we have leaders like that, you're going to be bringing in, and you're going to be bringing the Republican Party back to the balance that it has historically had.
So, Governor, the Republican who has the biggest stage tonight to deliver that message is your successor. You were term limited from the State House there in Arkansas, but Sarah Huckabee Sanders, from a prominent Republican family, of course,
that
Donald
fucking
Trump's former
ugly
press
bitch,
secretary,
Sarah
delivering the Republican response to the State of the
Huckabee, that
Union
is
tonight.
one
What would you like
ugly
the
whore,
message to be,
and
and what
something wrong
challenges
with one
to
of
the
her
voters
eyes.
in your state face?
We're very
Y'all
proud of
remember,
that.
I am
Our
a Republican hater.
Governor Sanders is going to be delivering the response, and this is the first time in the history of Arkansas,
And
by the
being a
way, that we've gone
look at
from
this bitch.
one Republican
You ought to
administration
see how
mind
she
to
actually
another
did it.
Republican administration.
Motherfuckers
So that's a
with
great
money,
success
that
story.
bitch has
And
no
I thought
idea how
tonight
to
that she
govern
focused
shit.
a little bit on
Not
her
even
story.
govern her own children
And the fact
or
that
tie her
she
own
is the
fucking
first
shoes.
female
I have
governor
no
ever
idea
elected in
what.
Arkansas.
Man.
The fact that
Mind
she
power,
has
that
a
shit
story
says it.
of family, and that she has. So I expect her to be hard hitting on President Biden because of policy directions that he has taken us in the wrong way, but also
It's the wrong way.
is,
What kind of way you
positive solution
bitches
to
got?
Republican
They
Party
have
office.
no nothing. Only thing they have is bring you conspiracy theories. They bring you bullshit and grievances. They have not passed legitimate legislation. Look at this idiot. You dumb fucking have soldier soul type
I would
bitch.
expect her to talk about inflation, prices of eggs, things that impact our families.
Impact what? You get a fucking idiot in
Thank you
Florida
very much for being here.
talking about
All right, so go ahead and
taking
look at some of this.
our culture out the fucking schools. Oh God! And then they be smiling when they do your ass.
ويكشف إصابته. أعلن برشلونة الإسباني متصدر دوري الدرجة الأولى.
They be really smiling when they do your ass. It is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But what I'm doing right now, y'all, is unbelievable too, because this shit tastes unbelievable. Oh my God. But I am seriously gonna do my sleep thing after this. Because I think I not dozed off for about an hour. I was watching. Oh Jesus, this is good. I was watching something, a series, and they dozed off. When they wake up, I could not breathe. That has not happened in years. Like stuffy head or something like that. So I'm like, okay. I tried to deal with it. I'm telling you, I have destroyed this plate. This is so damn delicious, y'all. I'm gonna definitely do this again. And I want y'all to see just hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can put my plate up where you can see it, because y'all know I do not like smushy pasta, and I'm glad I decided to oh my God, that is good. I'm glad I decided to just heat the pasta up, because when I stopped it, oh my God, I was just, and I still have I still have the texture of the pasta. It's not mushy. It is just doggone good, yo.